So we are live, and So, David, what questions did you?
You want me to hit you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Let's just roll into it.
Okay, so you're a pretty driven guy.
Yeah.
I see that everything you tackle is kind of like 110%. What are you, besides work things, most curious about right now?
Curious, as in
curious, like you haven't yet jumped into, but it's on your radar.
Yeah, This is one of the things that I struggle with the most, because I think that once you get a taste of what it's like to build something from scratch and see it work, you're like, oh, I wonder what else I can, And so that is one of my things. It's hard for me to stay focused sometimes. One thing that right now has me consumed is the ability or the tools that allow you to build a portal where people can go and learn. Mm-hmm. So I've been spending, probably 30% of my time just over the last week, just literally consuming videos and learning about software that allows you to put a course together and just have people just go in and do all right, so video 1 is marked complete and moving on to the next one, and create a little bit of a course. And I automatically go, wow, this could be great, because I could deliver coaching for people that maybe don't have access to me, and maybe the cost would be prohibitive, but this could be done at scale, so it could be very, very inexpensive from a fitness and nutrition coaching aspect. But then I also go, wow, what if we put a program together, and by we I mean that certifies personal trainers into my way of doing things and what it means to be a driven trainer versus just a trainer.
That's so fascinating on a couple different levels, because I feel a feeling that we're very similar in the way that it's not really about what it is we're doing. It's just that you kind of get addicted to the success. Yeah. And when you see that you can do it, it kind of just builds that momentum. See, what's nice about the way that you're talking about that is it's interesting, because as a busy person, you're kind of like building the tools for you to free up time. Yeah. And that is so important. I feel like that's what we're all grasping for, is time, right? Myself included. One
of the things that Katie always says whenever I'm like, guess what? And I'm about to just, dump on her this amazing new thing that I'm trying out. She's like, don't you have enough to do? When will you ever just not be after something? And now she knows. Now she's asked that question enough times that she's like,
it's not gonna stop.
It's never gonna stop. Yeah. That's just who I am.
I'm the same way. Every time, I kind of get to my full to my brim, and I'm like, okay, I gotta peel some of these things away, because I am the hobby master. I love all things that are kind of come across. I'm like, oh, I can see that. Oh, I can see that. Yeah. And I just start tackling these things photography is great. Oh, writing is awesome. Oh, podcasting is amazing. Yeah. And I eventually I have to at once or twice a year, I got to be okay, these are the things that are not really showing fruit. Right. And I've got to peel them away to find the core section,
Yeah. For me, it is something I think that the process is something that I'm super interested in, and super. It is difficult for me to explain, because, so for example, with fitness training and coaching people and helping them lose weight and get healthy and all this, it's something that I'm super passionate about. But for example, today we are at a place where there's a team in place, and it doesn't take to be in the business. It doesn't take many hours, as many hours as it did at the beginning. So now that time is free, I almost see the danger in getting complacent. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I find a video game and I get started, and next thing I know, I look and I'm like, whoa, I've been playing for 5 hours. And then I'm like, okay, that's it. And I'll put away and I won't touch it again for 6 months.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, wait, this time is so precious, and for me to be putting it there, why would I'm wasting that time, right? And I try to keep a good balance of entertainment and enjoyment and
Well, there's a real reward system set up for people, I think. I mean, we're not meant to sit around and be fed grapes and have our faces fanned. You know what I mean? We're meant to struggle.
Yeah.
Like, I believe that the human spirit is kind of about the process of the struggle.
Yeah.
And it's not about like everything needs to be difficult. It's you need
to conquer. You need to gradually.
You need to get over things. You need to like maybe today is all about you got to get out of bed.
Yeah.
And that's your struggle today.
Yeah.
But it's about that struggle. It's about conquering those little things. And it doesn't have to always be like, lifting the bar way above your head. Sometimes you set the bar down and step over it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you know what though? The way that you opened the question, I don't crush everything. I don't, I drop the ball a lot. I am not, so I guess I am surprised by how much it is more about patience than it is about the intensity and the perfection.
Yeah.
It's been years and years and years of imperfect action that have led to this right now,
Yeah.
As opposed to just always be crushing it. I think that if you saw me and you mapped out my every single hour of the week, you'd be like, wow, he wasted 30% of that time.
Yeah.
But
I think that's why driven is almost the perfect word. That's why I use that word to open up, because I'm not saying you're a really successful guy.
Yeah.
I'm saying you're driven.
Yeah.
And I understand that, for example, my own weight loss journey has been the product of me failing 1,000 times. Right. I've tried a lot of different things, and that's why, like you were telling me before, you gotta, maybe pump the brakes a little bit and just ease into this, because for me, I'm like, oh, I found something that works. I'm like 100%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All in,
totally. And it's a good perspective to have to kind of pump the brakes. And I think that's important with almost everything.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, I think that's what separates a lot of the messages that you put out there from a lot of other people's messages. It's not just conquer it or get over it or whatever. It's about no, perseverance, tenacity is really the key to being like this. It's sometimes you're not going to want to feel like doing the thing, but just
it's funny because it's not a very sexy way of
no.
It doesn't really sell well.
No.
All it says is, you found something that worked? Great. Now slow it down, be patient, and buckle in.
Yeah, absolutely. Buckle in. It's a long ride.
It is. It is a long ride. I think that the key is finding the enjoyment in every day. For example, I could be working, teaching every class.
Yeah.
And what that would mean, okay, so maybe 20 more hours of, not 20 more hours of work, 20 hours of different kind of work, where I am teaching classes versus learning, sitting on my computer, working, building something, right? And there's a very clear price that I pay for that.
Yeah.
Every single time I give a paycheck to my trainers, that is money that I could have in my pocket.
Yeah.
Every single week.
So right? It's a literal monetary price. It is
literally, I am paying for that time. Mm-hmm. So that is what always comes to my head. And I'm like, am I willing to pay for this time to be devoted to this activity?
Right.
And I think that's what keeps bringing me back to tasks that are more productive, that are helping me grow, and that will maybe benefit everybody around me over the long term. Mm-hmm. And that's crazy. I never thought that I would get to a place where I thought that way. Today, 50 cents of every single dollar that come to Driven are paid out to our staff.
Right.
And I could be like, I'm like, holy crap. Sometimes I stop and I think, and I'm like, how much, what? Like, I could be just pocketing that.
Yeah, yeah.
But so that's, I am choosing to leave that money on the table to build something that does not crumble without me.
Right.
You know, one of the things that makes me, very early on in my career as a trainer, I identified one of my early clients' dependency on me, and it scared the crap out of me because I was like, I am doing a shitty job if the moment I'm not around, you fall apart.
Yeah.
And maybe that makes sense to some people, money-wise, because for as long as you need me, I'll be there, and as long as you're paying me. But I was like, no. I literally asked my client, what are you going to do if I die tonight? Are you going to fucking quit?
Yeah.
Because if that's your answer, and because she just stopped and just kind of like, well, I don't know. And I was like, because that's like that, it pissed me off. Yeah. Not for her, for me. I realized that I was shit in the bed. I was not being a good trainer because she depended on me.
Because you're not training.
I'm not coaching her. I'm not teaching her.
I'm
just giving her the fish every single day, right?
Right.
And I was like, this is garbage. Right. So yeah, you know what? I'm really proud of the decisions that I've made, and I think that I'm just so thankful for that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So even though you say like you could be collecting some of that 50 cents, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you find that it's also worth it because it allows you a certain quality of life? Because now you don't have to spend that extra 20 hours in the gym, you know? Yeah. You can actually spend it with your family or whatever.
You know what? It's funny. I have gotten a lot less apologetic as time has gone by, and I've gotten to know myself a lot more. And maybe the way in which I operate and the way that we carry our family dynamics and all that, maybe to someone else, they would be less than desirable. But I've really found what works for me and what works for our family. And I think like the sweet spot for me is somewhere around 2 to 3 hours of family time per day.
Yeah.
And I try to make that time very high quality. But then that's it. I feel this insatiable hunger for more time in the day. You know what I mean? What I just told you, that I've been just devouring this new tool that I just discovered, and how I can apply this and what I can build on top of it. I get home at whatever, sometimes 1 p.m., sometimes 2, sometimes 6. And normally I would spend from 6 to 8 with the family. And then once the kids go to bed and everything, I'll hang out with Katie for a bit. And then I'll go downstairs into my man cave and I'll play video games or whatever. Lately, I've been reading and learning from 8:30 to midnight or 1 in the morning, and then get up the next day. And I just wish that I had more time.
Yeah.
You know,
what's funny about that is because I recognize that in you, and something that's funny that happened when we met, when we started talking and stuff like that, was that I saw that, someone else is like this, and so it kind of gave me the green light to kind of relax that I'm that way myself.
Oh yeah.
And like, so now I haven't played a video game in like a week and a half because I can't bring myself to it, because I'm like, I gotta research. I'm like, listen to an audiobook and I'm like researching. Yeah. Like I it's funny, not that I had like a crazy video game addiction or anything like that, but like, I find myself, I can't waste my time because I feel like, it's okay to be getting after it. It doesn't always have to, you don't always have, like, I feel like I wasted enough time.
That's a good point.
Like I've had 33 years of time to myself. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think it really matters that you, for example, that when you come home, you feel that satisfaction of what you accomplished with your day.
Yeah.
And I'm very fortunate that given what I do, that is the case when I come home. So sometimes that can lead you into feeling like, all right, it's only 8 p.m., but I've accomplished already a lot. I did what I need to do to like push the needle, like that one step, right? Or 2 or 3 or 5. I'm good. I can chill. And sometimes I will. but I always notice that, like, for example, if I'm playing a video game and in between loading times, I'll have a YouTube video going, and I'll be like listening to whomever that I admire, right? And be learning tools and skills. And
I always describe it as like I wake up and I hear that ticking clock and it's coming after me, and I just go until I'm so far in front of it that I can't hear it anymore. Then I can put my head down.
Oh, nice.
And then I wake up and I hear it again. It's coming after me again.
Oh, that's
it's
good.
It's catching up, so I gotta go again.
Shit, that's good.
I feel that. And it resonates. Like I don't say that I feel it. I really do feel it. It took me a while to identify that. And I was like, no, this is what's happening, and I feel that time crunch.
Do you think that has to do with being a parent, or is it, or why?
Yeah, well, I think it has to do. I mean, that's definitely a part of it. Because like the idea of like, because that's essentially getting after it, right? Getting after whatever your goal is. And my goal right now is like weight loss and, learning and some of that. So that is like certainly has to do with like the longevity of life, which is because I have a kid partially, also for a number of other reasons. But yeah, it definitely has something to do with it. And it has something to do with, interestingly enough, it ties into being a parent in this way. It's a legacy. Like I don't want, I want my kid to be able to look back and be like, oh, my dad really went after it. He went through some shit, he had to do some things to get here.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't want that to be, I want that to be a resounding lesson. I don't want it to be like something that's kind of ignored. I want it to be broadcasted. I want it to be out there because it's kind of, it may not be a big deal for some people. Some people have a hard time putting, for example, weight on, or some people are born like with a natural ability to really absorb knowledge in a way that I can't. But for me, it's about a legacy. I want to leave behind something worth talking about.
Yeah, I think it's like that sub 4 minute mile or whatever, right? Like people used to think it was not possible.
Yeah,
and for decades nobody did it, so it was thought that it was impossible for the human body to accomplish that. But as soon as someone did, that same year 3 other people did it. So it's almost like you're literally creating that example with your whole life right now for your son to look back and be like, well, wait, if my dad could do that, maybe I can tackle my own mountain, whatever that is, right?
Yeah. And there's also some sort of like kind of devious thing in there, like an ego-fueled, like it's kind of bullshit, but it's also kind of like, ooh, I just want to like take from that a little bit. And it's like, I feel like a palpable greatness, like somewhere deep inside, and it's like ready to come out. I'm just like, I feel it. I mean, I know I identify it as like such an ego thing, but like, I'm like, I am destined for something, and I'm gonna get after it until I get it.
Think about what an amazing world we would live in if everybody felt that thirst for accomplishment.
Yeah,
and it was channeled in a positive way.
Yeah. That is really the key right there.
Absolutely.
Channeled in a positive way, like the path. Like that's why I think that, just jumping back to your gym business, like that's why I think it's so successful, because in a day and age where it becomes harder to stand next to someone and have a conversation, where everyone's kind of down on their phones or online, you're giving a sense of community to a group of people that is kind of lost. It is a rarity. It's an exotic animal in the urban setting. It's this thing that people want. People want community. I mean, there's a reason why we will stand all together even though we don't know each other in a place. Or, it's a reason why we congregate to an area. Because even though we don't know these people, we want to be with people. Like there are always, exceptions. There are lone wolves and whatever.
But we recognize that, like, wow, there's...
we're the human spirit is attracting other human spirits. Which brings me to another question.
All right.
So, this one's a little bit out there.
Okay.
So, you have been frozen, and you wake up 10 years in the future where the place is apocalyptic.
Okay.
You are unfrozen by a group of survivors. Where do you see yourself playing your role in a year from that moment? Are you more of a group type person, or are you an exile or a lone survivor?
You know what? When I was in school, I was in university, and I remember, I don't know why, I was in a class where we were all sitting around with the teacher, and we were just talking about leadership. That's the first time that I remember the conversation actually making sense to me, right? Versus just a nice concept that's on the board or whatever. And she was describing what it's like to be a leader, and what that meant for the people around you, and all of this. And up till then, I felt that I had leader qualities in me, but it was definitely not something that my actions were not congruent with that internal feel for what it's like to be a leader. So I remember asking her, what if the group of friends that you are in, what if they don't consider you a leader? What do you do then? And she said, you need to find another group. And I was like, okay, this is just the very first time that I remember feeling like I had the potential to become a leader. So going back to your question, I think that I would absolutely build the community that repopulated the world and recreated it in a much better way. That's what I believe. But I understand now that if you are not considered a leader, if I went back and I was sitting there with my teacher today, I would say you're wrong. I don't need to go and find new people. I need to rise myself, and if I am a leader, is because people want to follow me, not because I come in and I say, hey, I am the leader, right? I don't have to convince people that I am the leader. I need to lead.
Yeah.
It's an action. It's not so.
Which is kind of why you see these alpha males, like doing whatever, and they will tell you that they won't say it outright, but they'll tell you in so many words that they are the alpha males.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but you're not, because you had to tell me.
That's right. Yeah. Like, I don't think that you need to be the strongest, the fastest, the smartest, the anything. Like, I don't think that is a talent. I think that it is choices. Choice after the decisions, after decisions.
Do you think that? Two questions. Do you think that it's possible for someone to be a natural leader, like you're just built with the natural charisma to be a leader? And do you believe that leadership is the product of many lessons or many choices?
So I think that you can be. I think that maybe the place where you are born in, the surrounding atmosphere, definitely can teach you lessons that are very valuable for you later on, right? But I think that somebody that has all of those opportunities can still choose not to lead,
right?
Because
I think there's like a real, like, tangible, like, if you don't take those lessons and translate them into a real life, world problem, you're not going to be able to decipher. You can choose to serve yourself, and just worry about you. And I don't know when it changed for me. I don't know exactly when, but so this is something that I don't talk about often. But at some point, I had just started Driven, and this was probably like 6 months, 8 months after Driven has begun, and I started with mostly one-on-one personal training, but then soon after that, I started to try and change it into group training, right? Make it a lot more affordable for people, a lot more sustainable for me in terms of time that I was putting in. And when I saw my little group, I think we were like 20 people, 30 people tops. And my ex-wife told me that she was going to move with my son, and that they were going to move to another province. They were going to move to Calgary. And my son had been everything in my life up till that moment.
always super, super close with him and everything. But so I had the decision to make. Do I drop my personal training business and go back to my job? I was working at Shaw Cable before. Mm-hmm. So if I did that, and my boss was very clear that if I decided to come back, I would have my job back. So I could come back and then just get transferred over to Calgary. And I would not have to fight to have my son stay. I would, for a fact, not lose any time with my son, no matter what. Yeah. And that was it. All I would need to do was just drop Driven.
Right.
And, oh man, like it was such a surprising moment when I sat down and I realized that I was not going anywhere. And that if push came to shove, if my son was to move, I would stay.
Wow.
And it was, in one way, it was devastating to realize that was my decision. It was my decision, but to realize that is where I was at.
It doesn't feel like you, as a father, it probably doesn't feel like it's the right decision.
It didn't feel like it was the right decision, maybe, but at the bigger scale, it did. Yeah. And I think it was because I realized that no matter what happened, he would always be my son. Mm-hmm. And I would always be significant to him. And I would, no matter what, I would be in his life one way or another. But then I had Driven. And Driven was just starting to give me that sense of, like I'm doing something for other people.
Yeah.
You know, there's significance to my life. If I die, I will have impacted their lives. Mm-hmm. You know, and they were, well, outside of my son, my mom, my dad, my brother and sister. So, you know, these were people that it's almost like I didn't owe them anything, yet I was willing to sacrifice the most important thing in my life to continue to make an impact in their lives. Yeah. And that's when I realized, and I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Like, we're in for the long run, baby. Like, that's what, and I think it was the significance. So now today, for example, when I have someone come and share with me that they are very unhappy, my advice is go serve others. Mm-hmm. Forget about you and then go and make other people happy, which is it can be taken out of context, of course.
Yes.
But it was an odd realization to be like, yep, I'm willing to let my son go. And don't get me wrong, I was like, if it comes to that, I'll let him go and I'll stay.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I'll do whatever I can so he doesn't go anywhere, right? So
well, that's interesting because like obviously you fought and like you have your son here.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so you never know how it's going to work out, but it just sometimes it makes you work a little harder for it, you know?
Yeah.
That's interesting. And I was saying before, on one of your posts before, I said like, you know, I don't go to fruit trees that bear no fruit, you know, and like that's kind of what you probably realized like when you were getting this sense of accomplishment out of having this gym and helping others. Like that's the fruit, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, some things in the human spirit, they need that nourishment, and that's one of the things that I believe, you know, is helping people get through their struggles, and that's a sure sign of a leader. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's odd because I can't tell you exactly like whether the egg came or the chicken came first, like how it happened. But since I was a child, my mom and my dad always told me that I was meant for greatness. Mm-hmm. And of course, moms and dads say that. Yes. Maybe all of them, maybe not. Mm-hmm. But I remember just getting to a point where I was like, man, just stop saying that.
Yeah.
Like, why do you? Of course you say that. Why would you not say that? You're my mom. You're my dad.
Yeah.
Leave me alone, right? And my mom would always be like, one day you'll know what I meant. And I'm like, what? That's such a mom thing to say. But I don't know. I think that it's not that she could see the future. It's just that her believing in me to that degree allowed me, like when shit hit the fan, to be like, no, I can. If I'm willing to put in the work, why not?
Yeah.
You know?
Did you find that it instilled like some sort of almost third-party confidence in the everyday activity of your life?
I think it just made me believe that I was who they said I was.
Right.
You know, they convinced me that I was that person.
Yeah.
I remember when I was like the first time that I went around Westwood, and I hadn't lost all my weight, and I, for whatever reason, even though it was my first time, I promised myself that I wouldn't walk, that I would run the whole thing, and it didn't matter how slow, but I would not walk. And here I am going, and it's only 6 kilometers, but it's like that, and and I just remember at some point it was almost like my dad was running my brain, and everything that he had told me and everything that he had instilled in me was deep in there, right? And I just hadn't quite been using it.
Do it yet.
And in that moment I did. And I just remember starting to talk to myself and be like, you don't give up. You keep going. They're like, there's no quitting in you. Yep, one step and one more step and one more step. And I got through the whole thing, and it was just like, wow.
What was what's the weight difference between now and then?
Probably only about 40 pounds.
Yeah.
But it was in here, like back then, like 40 maybe doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm a completely different person.
Yeah.
Mentally, right?
Yeah. You find that like that is true, like your mind state is completely different.
Oh yeah.
From then?
I'm a completely different person.
That's what I find every week. I'm a different person.
Yeah.
It's crazy to look back on. It's like, I'm not that guy from a week ago.
Yeah.
I'm like this guy right now,
Yeah.
and this guy's like.
It's like you just keep leveling up, right?
Yeah.
At the very core, and if we go back to our video game reference, if you're leveling up your character is still your character.
Yeah.
It's just that you're able to handle shit a lot better,
Yeah.
right? And it doesn't damage you as much.
It's so funny because talking about the video game thing, like I'm a gamer at heart. Like I love board games, everything.
Yeah.
But like so I attribute everything to gaming. So like for me, when I'm looking at how many calories I have left to eat in a day, I'm like, how many food points do I got?
Nice.
It's like it's not even like a question of like how many calories do I have. It's how many food points do I got?
Yeah.
Like, I only got this many food points, so I can't really do much of that, or I got a lot, so I can do anything I want. It's funny, like the way that we take our own lives and kind of twist it around to make it work when we need to,
Yeah. So and now what I realize is that maybe a lot of people, or maybe some people, didn't have that upbringing.
Yeah.
Where somebody was always blindly believing in their ability to conquer whatever it was.
Yeah.
Another thing that my mom said to me until I got tired, and I wouldn't talk back to her but I would think it.
A look of fear in your
eyes. Oh shit, man! You did not mess with no. But it was, the more is required of you, the more you've got.
Yeah.
Like you always have that next gear to go into. Mm-hmm. You do, and the more it is expected of you, the more you realize that you can do.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's convenient for you to say, because you're the only one asking me for things right now.
Yeah.
But now I believe it. Not only I believe it, I know it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, like Katie said, before when she was talking to us after one of the weigh-ins, she's saying your body doesn't understand the stress between like being stuck in a car traffic jam or being chased by a lion.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a great point. So, like, every time you do whatever you're doing, like, I just imagine the lion behind me, you know what I mean? And that's what the ticking clock is.
Yeah.
So I'm like, always like, get away from me, get away from me, get away from me.
You know what, for me, something that does that for me is, this is going to sound very, very egotistical, but I believe in my passion for people so much that I believe that nobody else can do a better job for them. So I feel that it is my responsibility to eliminate those other players from the field so that the message doesn't get murky.
Yeah.
And that's a very, like, it it is dark.
It's
you know.
Well, but if you're willing to accept the responsibility,
yes,
of that,
I 100% am.
Then that's what
I tell Katie, I tell my staff who like know me, you know, from the inside out. I'm like, I have zero interest in being the nicest person you know. Zero. Yeah. I could not give two shits about you being like, who's the nicest person that I know? Yeah, it is Miguel. No, that is not my goal in life. I want to take care of my tribe, and that means protecting them against everything else around them. So I will go after the doctors that give shitty advice. I will go after trainers that don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
I will, and I will call them out, and I will be, you know, because I'm like, no, this is my responsibility. Somebody needs to stand up for this shit.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what's interesting is like being a nice guy happens to be a byproduct of that. When you are looking out for your tribe and your tribe is prospering, happiness is a byproduct.
Yeah.
You know, so it doesn't have to ever be faked. It's always I just happen to be a nice guy because we're all working together here. We're all doing this thing together, you know.
And you know, I strongly believe that the way that I can serve my people best is not by tearing others down. It's by just building the absolute best thing that I can build. And this is something that, like, every day for example, I'll give you something that happened very specifically. So about 3 years ago, I started noticing this new trainer on like appearing in my posts in like the Nanaimo groups, and just being like, hey, I am a new trainer. A new trainer to the area. I've been living in Vancouver, but I'm moving here, and blah blah. And he was on top of his game, right? Like, just from what I could see. And right away, I started checking him out, and I started looking him up, and I messaged him right away, and I was like, hey, do you want to go for coffee? And he was like, yeah, sure. I'm not in Nanaimo yet. I'll be moving there in 3 months. So what a smart son of a bitch, right? But so I wanna, yeah, absolutely. I'll go for coffee with you. So I was more than happy to, like, I was like, I want to see you, like, you know, and he came to what Driven was back then, which was a little hole in the wall, and we went for a walk and everything, and he was doing like one-on-one training. So, and by that point, we had mostly transitioned to group training, and I already had a few years of experience, you know, behind me. So in the conversation, I was like, all right, yeah, I definitely am ahead of this guy, but I recognized that just like him, there would be a million more, and that they would always be coming after not what's mine, but that they would always, like, if they don't know as much as I know, if they don't care as much as I care, then they're not going to do a better job than I do. So it is my responsibility to do this so well and to such a degree that nobody can possibly think of anybody else except for me. This is super dark, man. But I'm like,
that is your ticking clock. So when you wake up and you hear them getting closer, you gotta go.
Yep.
You gotta go.
Oh, and what I love, like, I strongly believe that once you tap into that, like, lion side of you, that just wants to, like, go and tear things apart and, like, take care of your tribe and fight off whatever wants to come in, like, by the time someone is like, oh, see what he did there, I'm already on to the next thing. You know, by the time you see it, it's I've been working on it for a while, and it's done, and I'm on to the next thing.
You know, I'm reading Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art right now, and he's talking about how this abstract, well, it's called resistance. He calls it resistance in his book. It's whatever it is that's getting in your way. It's your video games when you're supposed to be writing. It's your guitar when you're supposed to be painting, or it's, you know, whatever. He talks about it, and he talks about, like, how if you just sit down and do the work, it's about beating resistance for that specific day. It's not about, like, completely ridding yourself of that resistance.
Right.
But a week from now, you'll stand up from your computer or whatever, and you'll say, like, oh, I wrote 1,000 words a day. I wrote 7,000 words this week.
Nice. Yes.
And the guy who gave into the resistance may have only written 500 words. You know, so if you just continually put in that little bit of work, if you just beat resistance for that day, that's your only goal needs to be beating resistance for that day.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a matter. I think it is honestly a matter of taking responsibility for how good we have it. Like, there's so many tools. There's so much opportunity that okay, you may need a little break, but every second that goes by, you could have learned something. And I don't know. It feels very real for me. So there's that. Gary Vaynerchuk, which is somebody that I like his work ethic. He's the best concept that he's got that I completely identify with is macro patience and micro speed, which means you have the patience to look at the big picture and sort of know it's okay right now I leave all that on the table, and if I don't cash in everything I've got right now, it's okay if I grow slower at a slower pace because I'm really trying to build something that is stable and solid for the long term. So that's the patience. But then the micro speed is, I'll sleep 3 hours a day if I to consume this knowledge because I need to build it. Like I need to be putting myself out of business every week, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I love that concept.
Yeah, it's a real rewarding concept. And I think it speaks to my favorite quote of all time, once you understand the way broadly you see it in all things. I think once you have something like, for example, for my own journey, it would be like weight loss, right? I'm working out 3 days a week, keeping it slow, just counting my calories. Once I see that success, I can apply it to every single thing in my life. It doesn't have to be weight loss. Maybe today it's learning French, or maybe tomorrow it's doing handstands, or the next day it's painting a picture, whatever.
You bet. Your relationships, because how do you nurture a relationship? Same way.
Yeah, exactly. Same way.
Slow and steady. And don't spend all your money in presents today. You know, just be nice slow and steady. That's exactly it.
That's the other thing I keep on posting online is wake up, kick ass, be kind
and repeat.
Yeah,
that's all there is to it.
That's all there is to it. Yeah.
And I think that it's very important that you recognize your humanity in everything that you attempt, right? And that when you have a day where you're like, holy shit, that was 24 hours that I completely just. Maybe I just played video games all day.
To bed,
All right. But that was that.
Yeah.
And here, I can decide now what tomorrow's going to look like.
And that's why, like I say, like I'm not the same guy I was a week ago. No. I'm not even the same guy I was yesterday. So you're just on top of it in the moment.
Yeah.
You can't live in the past.
Yeah.
You can't do it. Otherwise, you'll be caught up. And I think that's, like, sure, you may have been last week the guy who maybe you don't live with your kid. Maybe you didn't call your kid. Or maybe you had a box of Twinkies, but you're not that guy right now.
Yeah.
You're like, it's like
your actions.
Says, he said, you could wake up today and become the hero of your own movie.
Yeah.
Like, live your life like you got a camera crew following you around and you're accountable.
Yeah.
You can figure out ways to keep yourself accountable. Myself, I post on social media. But you could become accountable today. Yeah. You could be the guy yesterday who woke up and fucking blended a pizza and drank that shit for breakfast, but you can wake up today and not do that.
Absolutely.
It's all about the small choices, Leads me to my next question.
Yeah. Great segues, by the way. Yeah.
If you had a biopic on yourself, I love movies. Yeah. If you had a biopic on yourself, who's playing Miguel?
Oh, shit. Oh, you know what? Wow, this is surprising. But it would be Sylvester Stallone. And the reason why him and not Arnold, man, I grew up on fucking Conan.
I think we're both in the same way. Yeah.
Anyways, because Stallone actually lived that, or maybe he's told that story a lot better. I've read the biography of Arnold, and he also had very humble beginnings and very everything. But I love that Stallone had to sell his dog to eat. And then he came back, just because he believed in his shit so much that he refused to give it up.
Yeah.
And then he came back and bought his dog for like, I don't know, 100 times what he got for him. But yeah, I think it would be him.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's why the Rocky movies feel like they hit very close to the heart, because
well, when he talks about writing them, he talks about how he was in such a small room that he would be able to just reach, he'd be able to close his door and open his window at the same time. So he'd just sit on his bed and wrote for 3 days on his legal pad and pounded out a 90-page script or whatever.
Yeah.
And that you can really feel that.
Yeah.
There's something about someone who has been there before that you can feel that resonates in their work, which is why I was asking you before about, what is the difference of weight between then and now? Because you're teaching people how to lose weight, how to get fit, among other things. But I think that resonates with people because you've been there.
Yeah.
Your journey started there.
Yeah.
So.
By the time when I told you that story about Westwood, I had already lost quite a bit.
Yeah.
I already.
Well, I know. Yeah, I know you're like 80 pounds or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. 75, something like that.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be somebody that has gone through that and
there's an incredible value in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
you know what it is? It's gratitude at the end of the day, and it's just that. It's that I am so grateful for my life and for what I've got. And I'm not talking material shit. I'm talking, when I came to Canada, I knew no one. Mm-hmm. And today, like, I honestly feel like just like with you, I feel that I've, like, everybody had driven. Like, if I needed something and I went to them, and like, they would have my back, right? And so I've literally created this little world where people know who I am and people care about me.
Yeah.
And so that is what I've got. And to know that when I came here, I had none of that.
Yeah.
That's what makes me always be like so happy. And just when somebody asks me like, hey, how's your day going? I'm like, what? How can you ask me that question? Like, don't you like, look at this.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying look at Driven. I'm saying look at this life that we all get to share together.
Right.
Like, it just blows my mind. So out of that comes the responsibility of saying, holy shit. So if you've got that, what are you going to do with it? Mm-hmm. It is now your responsibility to help others.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's a big driver for me, for sure.
So we've got Stallone playing you.
Yeah.
So what genre of this movie is going to be?
It would definitely be a sports movie.
Yeah?
Definitely. And they would definitely be the underdog to everybody else, but they believed in themselves.
There's something about that, isn't there? Like, more than like a guy who's like at the top of his game, like getting after it. Like, I don't want to see the guy who's like always been at the top of his game. He's always been the great swimmer, and then he goes on to win this gold in swimming. I don't want to see that story. I want to see the guy who fucked his life up.
Yeah.
Or like came from fucked up beginnings.
Yeah.
And then I want to see him get to the top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I love that Cinderella story. You know? Where they're coming from nothing and then getting to the top.
Well, I just think it if anything, it just gives us that glimpse of hope.
Yeah.
That if they did it, then so can I, right?
Yeah.
And yeah.
You know, and that's what, like you were talking about the Rocky movies earlier, that's what is so beautiful about that movie, because it's so relatable on a lot of different levels.
Yeah.
Like, Rocky's just a guy, he's like, doesn't speak too well, he's a little older when he starts doing his training. Yeah. He's trying to get this girl, like the girl doesn't really want to go out with him. She doesn't
Can't
want
even
much of anything.
read. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He's, you know, it's all so relatable. It's like, well, if this guy came from like almost below where I am right now, well, why can't I do it?
Well, and you know what? Like, okay, so somebody could say, well, that's just a movie. But there's plenty of examples out in the real world of people that is how they've built their lives. Mm-hmm. Like, look at Mark Cuban and so many others, right? Yeah. That you're like, holy crap. Jeff Bezos and all of these people that have literally started from the ground up.
Yeah.
So it really opens the doors. It's our 4-minute mile.
Yeah. Well, there is greatness, and it's just floating around, and we're all just out here with nets trying to catch it, you know?
Yeah, I think there's a very real price that you need to pay for that. And it is up to us to decide whether or not we're willing to pay that price. And it's fine if you're not. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't think that every single person has to. Some of us feel like that's some of us feel like we do have to.
Yeah.
And I think it is only that kind of craziness that leads you to be like, yeah, I'll stop seeing my son every day because I believe in this.
Yeah.
So I guess it's almost like I did sell my dog. I was willing to sell. I didn't sell.
Don't compare yourself to a dog. Yeah, a loved one, family, right? Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, I think there's a lot of value there.
This sounds crappy because it's like, oh yeah, look at me, but
no, but like there is something that clicks in some people's minds, right? And it's this, like, if you know greatness is right over the horizon, if you can feel it, and it would be a squander just to waste it, or it would be, you
owe it to yourself.
You owe it to yourself
to test
you
and
never
go after it.
If you had gone to Calgary, you would not be nearly as happy.
Nope.
And it's not to say Calgary's not a great place. It's not to say wherever's not a great place, but you saw something through.
Yeah.
And
I remember, part of the conversation back then being like, well, you just started this. You can start it then. There. That's
a misconception, because you didn't just start it. You've been working on it your whole life.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But,
and I was like, no. If it comes to that, I'll stay here.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Do you think that was a contributor in how it actually ended up? Like, we were like, no, I'm staying here. And then she was like, oh, shit, he's going to stay there.
Nope.
No?
It took every ounce of the fight that I had in me. Yeah. And even that, I'm thankful for it, because holy shit, if it was a very clear decision that I had to make. Like, will I put everything I've got into this fight, or will I just drop the towel and be carried out the ring?
And it's one of those things where you do actually have to put every single thing.
And you know what? And if anything, it taught me, all right, when the next fight comes, whatever it looks like, I can put every ounce of me in it, and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm thankful for today, because I'm like, in every other area of my life, I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I'll take any fight.
Yeah.
Like, if it's trying to mess with my shit, I'll take it, and doesn't matter how it goes down, I'll be fine at the end. And it builds this. Maybe it doesn't make sense, but in my mind now more than ever, I believe that this is going to sound ridiculous. You could cut my arms off. Mm-hmm. You could cut my legs off. You could not let me ever say one word. And I could just like blow into a fucking tube.
Yeah.
And I would continue to lead.
Yeah.
I don't need this. Like I could do it.
Yeah, my arms are making me lead. I feel you. I feel the exact same way. That's the craziest thing about it. Like, I totally understand that in a completely weird way. Like, who on earth would understand that? I get it, though. I get it.
Sometimes I laugh at myself, man, because I realize what this sounds like, right? Yeah. And I'm like,
you're insane.
You're insane, man. Like, maybe, and you know what? Maybe, okay, fine. I'm 37. Maybe when I get to 50, I'll look back and I'll be like, such a naive kid, or whatever. But fine. I will continue to live my life as if I'm going to live for 1,000,000 years, and just forever build and forever,
Let's say you saw my post a while back. I said, "Do you want to build an empire?"
Yeah,
that's what this is, man. That's what it all is.
It's funny because I was going to ask you what that was about,
dude. It's about everything. I'm building an empire every single day, brick by brick. I'm building this empire. If you want to get on board, come on board. If you don't want to get on board, get out of my way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's happening. Everything. It's happening with or without anyone, and that's kind of what I had to be with you and your kid, right?
Yeah.
It's happening with or without anyone. I mean, it's happening.
It's scary, man. It's scary to realize that's where you're at.
Yeah.
Because
it makes you feel like a psychopath.
It makes you feel like there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
But
with the right frame of mind, like when I say that with like love. Like, I want to help everyone. That's what it's about. Like, I want you to get on board.
Yeah.
Because it's going
to happen.
Don't worry. I'm driving this ship and I got a hold of it. Like, do not worry. I got this.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to break down for anyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
this happened very recently, a few months ago, that one of our members from German
Yep.
just came and sat down and asked me how I was doing. She said, hey, how are things? And I was like, oh, really well, And she's like, well, I mean, like, that's really good to hear. But she's like, I mean, like, with the business and with everything. And I was like, oh, you know what? Really well. Thankfully, we've been making a lot of changes and laying the foundation, and we've learned many lessons, and things are looking really well. And she was like, I'm really happy to hear that, because I have never felt like this anywhere, and I just don't want it to ever go away. And I was like, wow, thank you. Like, that's...
Well, I mean, as a member of your gym, I mean, I can vouch for that. Like, like I don't ever want to stop that. I mean, it's so good.
Yeah.
And there's such a community. And it's so hard to find community. And to relate it back to the story we were telling, like just like Rocky, Nanaimo is an underdog.
Yeah.
And we're suffering from a lot of stuff here in this city. And to have something like Driven, or the tons of different things that we're hopefully going to explore on this podcast, it's invaluable.
Yeah.
But people are in their own mind right now, so we got to show these underdogs, like, not to say that we're better,
that we've got it in us,
but like you can do this too. Yeah. Like, I can do this, you can do this.
Yeah.
And there is
literally, we just set up a mic.
Yeah, we just set
up our computer. Yeah. Turn on the light.
Yeah.
Hit record.
Yeah. And like, it doesn't have to be a podcast. It doesn't have to be anything.
It's your own thing.
It's whatever it is,
you feel that pull
you
towards.
Yeah. And like, I brought a bunch of different things here to like talk to you about. Like, for example, there's if you're into hiking, there's a great hike out at Tofino. You can go to a World War II bomber.
Oh,
amazing!
Right, yes.
Or like all the different, like we were talking before, like the haunted areas of Nanaimo, to explore that sort of thing. Like, just start loving where you live, and things will fall into place. Love your own life, and things will start falling into place. I mean,
I think that I think that the problem is, it is a lot easier to play the victim.
Yeah,
it's a lot easier to not take responsibility for whatever is happening in your life, and because it feels like it's easier, it's not easier. In the long term, you suffer more, but because it feels easier in the short term, it's a quick exit that most people unfortunately take.
Yeah.
And maybe at some point we all take it. I certainly know that I have. And it's only when you realize how much better it is when you do take responsibility for it that you're like, wow, I want more of this responsibility. And now I will I will try to uncover things that I'm doing wrong or that I could be doing better, so that I constantly keep leveling up.
Yeah.
And now that's what you become addicted to, versus the, oh man, and now this happened to me, and now that happened to me. And then,
I know. It's weird how when you start to get your life together, you start to crave responsibility.
Yeah.
It's weird how that happens.
It is weird.
But I think there's two paths. So I think that there's a lot of people that go down the easy path, which actually isn't simple, because the easy path requires lying. It requires like
cheating.
Yep. You're lying to yourself, you're lying to other people, you're cheating yourself, you're cheating with other people.
You don't feel that great about who you are anyways.
So it's not simple.
Yeah.
You're under constant duress.
Yeah.
And then there's the path that I feel like I'm on now after all this time, which is the path that is not easy, but it is simple.
Right.
And that's what you kind of like said before, like, with the weight loss thing, it's not sexy. It's simply,
it just works.
It just works.
Yeah.
So, what I mean? It's simple. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And that's...
And what turned you onto this path? And away from the...
Yeah, so for me, it was all about... I had kind of like a little bit of a breakdown one night. I'm like, I'm going nowhere. I'm 368. I'm 33. I keep on getting these leg infections, these staph infections, because I live a very sedentary lifestyle. It was a struggle constantly. Like, I wasn't doing well at work. I'm not performing well around the house. I'm not being who I want to be. And it kind of came crashing down, and I had like a big night to, like, where I was just like upset with myself. I felt like I let everyone down. And I decided that, and I know they always say like do it now, but like I decided in the morning I'm going to get up and I'm going to set my alarm. I'm going to say to myself, write down what it is that you're not going to accept from yourself anymore. And the first thing that I wrote down was excuses. And so that's all I had written down for most of the day. I did a little bit of research and I looked up like, excuses, and that spiraled out into like ownership, and which turned me on to Jocko Willink.
I imagine that's where it led.
That's exactly where it led. And he had a lot of insight. And one of the things I remember hearing was, all of your excuses are lies. And that really resonated with me, because my whole life was the easy path that was not simple, because all of my excuses were lies, and I was just lying to myself. I was lying to other people. I had my mom would come down from where she lives on the North Island, and she would say, "Oh, you lost weight." I'm like, "Thanks," but like in my head, I'm like, "I didn't lose any weight." Or, "You're looking better." I'm like, "No, I'm like, you don't know it right now, but I'm like mid staph infection and I can barely walk."
Wow.
So it was about, I hate to sound like a salesman for his, Jocko's book or anything, but it was literally about ownership.
Right.
And once I decided that that's what needed to happen, and that I came to that from like a lot of different things. Like, I had an ex who had like cheated on me, and like that was like really difficult. And it was Christmas time, so I was alone for Christmas.
Wow.
And so it was all crashing down. Everything was crashing down. And I said to myself, like, I remember making a post, actually. It was the first like accountability post. I'm like, you know what? Like, I can't go down from here. It's only up from here. Like a phoenix, I'm rising. I said something to that effect, and I was like, that's it.
Wow.
I'm at the bottom. Like, the only thing that had happened.
When was this?
This was right after Christmas, so like the 27th, 28th.
So it's going to be a year.
So it's going to be a year.
Wow.
Yeah, and it took me a while. It took a while to find what road, what path.
Right.
That was a difficult thing. And I sat with you before I even joined the gym, and I was like, I want to do this, but like, whatever reasons, and again, more excuses to myself, right? But I'd see that no excuses. Like, you just have to put one foot in front of the other, and it's hard to talk about without sounding corny, but like, really, it's about like you waking up and you're not accepting yourself anymore,
Yeah.
And it was kind of a hard pill to swallow, that like you're not, like I felt that greatness in me, but like I was not living any of it.
Right.
So it's about being as.
Did you believe in that greatness, that you just needed to allow it to come out, or at that point were you like, I don't know if I'm lying to myself, or
I didn't feel like I was lying to myself, and even now I still feel the same way about it. I feel like a predator when I'm going after that greatness, because it's not easy. It's a gazelle. It's doing Mach 10, and I'm like, I gotta chase it for every little bit that I get out of it. I gotta chase it, and it's hard. And like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's easy,
right?
But it's there, and once you get a little bit of it, it drives you to want more, because you taste it and you're like, oh my god, this is so rewarding. Like this, like my mom come down recently and she's like, wow, you've really lost a lot of weight. And I'm like, I remember feeling like,
yes, wow,
yes, I have. Like, and
it's that's what I talk about. That's what I mean when I say you have to collect proof.
Yeah.
You collect proof of your own achievements, and over time it stacks. And that is what leads to true confidence. That is what leads to that unstoppable mindset, because you're like, well, look at all of this proof, like, and this is nothing. I have like 3 shit tons of more proof back there, right? Yeah. And then nobody can ever take that away from you.
Well, and you start really, like, I know I said this a ton of times in this podcast, but I'm like, you start really getting after it. Like last Monday I had a workout, and I was like, oh man, Mondays has got a bad case of the Davids, because I'm like coming after it. Like I don't care.
Nice.
And like you start really believing in it.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you sound corny or you sound cheesy. Whatever you got to tell yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I believe in it. I am being truthful, and I'm being more truthful than I ever have in my entire life. And when you start to see, like you say, proof, you start really owning it, and it really starts becoming a part of you, and it starts to become rather addictive as well. Which is,
it's very interesting because we mentioned earlier that, at least in my experience, how important it was to have my parents giving me that planting that seed of the belief in myself. But at the end of the day, they didn't pull me out of my shithole, right? I had to do that myself. But it's almost like with our decisions, we take that role that our parents had back then, and now we are the ones giving us the tools to believe and keep moving forward, right?
Yeah.
How was it like for you growing up? Like, did you have that sort of unconditional love, always supportive sort of upbringing?
it was pretty complex.
Yeah.
My parents have always been supportive. Not now, they don't like. I was raised by my grandparents a lot, and they just like completely two different parenting styles. My parents are not really supportive in the manner that I needed to be supportive. Right. They were supportive though, like in their own way, and in the way that like would help, like my brother, for example, who spent more time with them. But in terms of like instilling that seed, like planting that seed, I don't really feel like I remember any sort of like support system in that respect. You know, I mean, it just is what it is. Like, it's not. Yeah. I'm not gonna, sit here and.
We'll do the best that we can with what we've got.
They're working so hard. Like my mom, I remember having 3 jobs, and my dad was like working. He would like leave for work at 4:30, come back at like 6:30. Like it's crazy. So I mean, they did amazing. Yeah. But like in terms of like, having that support system, it just really wasn't there. And like I, would suffer from like, not having a lot of friends early on, and like weight was always an issue, but I was always naturally good at physical activity. Did a lot of like sport type stuff, and it was a really challenging upbringing, really, to be honest with you.
And so now, how much has your parenting style changed in the last year?
My kid lives with my ex, but for me, it's about constant support and trying to teach lessons and doing what I can while not being obtrusive and being respectful to my ex and what have you. So it's a tactic. It's a tactic that I have to like learn how to use and stuff like that. But it's it's like I said, it's about legacy. Like I want Ray, my son, to be able to look back and see some evidence of like what I was going through, and like understand that like I was always there for him, always had his back. What I mean? That's so important to me. Yeah. And sometimes that means like I can't see you for 3 months, and that's the hardest part. Yeah. Where I can't see my kid for a long time. Yeah. Because whatever, like you have only 2 weeks of vacation in a year or whatever, what I mean?
Does he live out of town?
Yeah, lives out of town. So you have to take a ferry to go see him. Right. So it's pretty challenging. But as like I said, like I have to do it for myself. Like in a certain respect, it's the same sort of idea that you kind of went through, like where like I could move closer, but I can't. Yeah. I've got to build this. Yeah. And sometimes it's not a company, sometimes it's yourself. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. And do you get to chat with him?
Oh yeah, every week.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. Yeah. That's one thing that's nice is we're me and my ex are like pretty good about
Nice. Yeah. I remember during the most difficult times of our separation and all that, I always tried to keep in mind that that every action that I took, if I had to, if at some point, like I try to imagine that at some point my son would be a grown man and he would come and sit across from me and ask me what happened.
Yeah.
And like facts, like you could, you know, and if I was like, I'll need to sit and look at him in the eye and tell him what actions I took.
Yeah.
How I acted in those moments. And that was very powerful. It left me no choice but to only do what I thought was the best thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, and it was very powerful. It made it very easy in that sense. Because I was like, well, the right thing to do is always the right thing to do, so I'll go after that, and whatever happens kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating. I have a strict policy. No matter if my son's around or not, never bad talk the ex.
Absolutely.
Because I always imagine whatever I do, like you said, my son could come to me one day like, Dad, what about that thing that you did that time? And I don't ever want that to be like, why did you bad talk Mom that time?
No, you don't have to.
Yeah, because you don't have to. Because eventually he's going to be of age where he's going to see,
that's right.
This is how it is.
That's right.
He's going to figure it out. He's a smart kid. You know what I mean?
That's exactly it.
You just have to trust. You just have to trust in your parenting.
Yeah.
You know, and that's. Yeah. I think that she is a good mom. So you know, I could never say anything bad. You know? It's like I said, it's not easy, but it's simple.
That is the ownership component as well.
Yeah.
It would be very easy, and how many times we do it, and how many times people do it, where it seems a lot easier to just be like, oh, I was good. He or she did this and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's what did you do or did not do that contributed? You are responsible for everything that happens around you.
Absolutely.
And
that is that's the hard truth of the matter is when you are trying to practice extreme ownership, which is something I suggest everyone does because it hits home. It's hard, but it's worth it.
I don't think everybody can do it.
I don't think anyone can do it either, but I suggest everyone try.
Yeah. It no matter who you are, you would benefit from it, but some people are just not.
Some people just don't have the capacity to go, oh, it's me.
Yeah.
You know, it's not you, it's me. And really mean it. Because you can say it. I've seen a lot of people say it, but I've seen much fewer.
No, I wonder, I always try to be very optimistic about things like this. And maybe it's just a matter of if you grew up in an environment that did not reward you taking responsibility for your shit and cleaning up your own mess, okay, then I could see how you didn't learn that skill.
Yeah.
And if they surround themselves now with people that reward that, then maybe it's something that you could come out of. I know for a fact that even though my parents rewarded me taking responsibility for my actions and cleaning up my mess, I still went through a period of time where I was not taking ownership, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that as a person, you kind of need to experience that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means that
you're growing up.
Yeah, you need to learn these lessons. And the earlier you do it, the better, really. Yeah. I mean, honestly. There was definitely a part of my life where I was a shithead in a lot of respects. Yeah. But I'm not that person anymore. Right. That's what it's all about, waking up and realizing I'm not that guy today. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So let me ask you. Do you like living in Nanaimo?
Yeah.
Yeah? What is your favorite thing about living in Nanaimo?
Okay, so it's hard to say one. I think it's a combination of things.
Yeah, it's a unique place, right?
I think it offers, for where I'm at in my life, I'm not really looking to party in a big city and go to 10 different places, and that's not where I'm at. I want a place to live in that is beautiful, and it is beautiful here. You have mountains, you have the ocean, it's hard to believe how beautiful it is.
It's pretty incredible.
And I come from Mexico, And I know the beaches, and I know all of that. And it is just as beautiful here. However, the people are warm. There's no crazy traffic. There's a little bit of everything. Like, it literally is. I think it's the best place to have a family. It's the best place to to grow your roots.
Yeah.
And it literally, it has been a decision to stay here, right? I've lived in Mexico City. I've lived in my hometown, which is Veracruz, and I've lived in Peru, and then I've lived in Montreal, and then here, and I would not go back to any of those places.
Yeah.
I thought that for a period of time, I thought that the place where I was going to end up living in was Switzerland or Denmark or something like that, just because the markers of the level of happiness and they're right up there all the time.
Funny, I thought similar things. Yeah.
Yeah, and but I couldn't imagine it getting any better than this.
Yeah.
I'm like, right? I have everything that I need, and I have an opportunity to like, now with everybody around me, to create something that will transcend all of us.
Yeah. What was it that made you decide Nanaimo? Where did you just spin the globe?
No. So I met my ex-wife in Montreal, and we fell in love. We got married. We had a baby, and then we continued to live there for about 8 months, and then we're like, okay, we need some family around, because my family still all in Mexico, and her family, her mom lived in Parksville, her dad lives in Saskatoon, so
right.
It was like, we need some family around us. Like, if it's just, I had a job that was paying like minimum wage, right? So I couldn't, it was hard for both of us to work and put our son in daycare or something like that. So it was December, and we went to Saskatoon, and then we came to the island.
Oh yeah.
Just to like check both places out, and that did it.
Yeah.
It was like, oh man,
yeah,
we're moving to the island. And so that's it. We went back and we just planned the move, and that was it. So I live in Parksville for first.
Really?
Yeah. And we lived in my mother-in-law's basement suite.
Wow.
And anyways, like years later, like once we decided to separate and everything, I just kind of bounced around a little bit on the island, and then I ended up here. So,
yeah.
Well, I got the job at Shaw, and that's what I was living now in the news,
right.
So a little closer.
Yeah.
And even then, I started doing the personal training, and I would drive just back and forth. It's near, right? It's close by, and then I was like, all right, Nanaimo it is. It's taking off. I need to be there, and but 4 years ago, I didn't know anything about Nanaimo at all.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I see. That's funny, because I actually moved here 10 years ago, and the reason I moved here was because I didn't know anyone here. Yeah.
You were literally seeking that fresh start.
Yeah, a place where I didn't know anyone, and that's why I moved here.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, well, I could move to Courtenay or Camel River. My brother lives there at the time, and I could do that, but no.
Was that a desire to just start fresh, or was it a desire to go somewhere where people didn't have any preconceived notions of who you were?
Yeah, it was that for sure. It was also it was a precursor to me finding my way with setting my life right.
Yeah.
Right. I had a desire even back then to I gotta fix things. I gotta make things better, and I can't do that with the same expectations around me all the time.
Right.
So I knew I had to get out, because I was living in I had moved from Calgary back to my hometown of Port Hardy, and I was living in my parents' suite at the time, and I was like, I could stay here forever comfortably, and that scared the hell out of me.
Oh, I bet.
Because I know comfort is easy, but it's not it's not what I need.
It's seductive.
It's seductive, right? Like I could sit there and just pound a pizza back and like play some video games and like work at a sawmill for the rest of my life. I don't want to do that though. No. So I had to get out, and I moved down here, no job. I didn't even get a job before I moved here. I just had I got to like.
What did you used to do there?
So I did a few things. I moved to Williams Lake, then I moved to Port Hardy again, and I was a tire man at OK Tire for a little while. Didn't really get down with that too hard. I did it for a year, and it was nah. And then I worked at a sawmill, and I did that until we got laid off. It was a good job, a lot of physical work, which is nice, but you know, as logging industry is, it's touch and go. So when I got laid off there, I was just kind of like, well, I can cruise on EI for a year.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I almost did. Then I was like, you know what, I gotta get out.
And that's when you went. That's when you went to when you were living with your back with your parents.
Back with my parents, yeah. And I was like, well, you know,
you can be the guy that just lives off EI and sits and...
I could be that guy, you know, and it's really easy, really, really easy, because even back then, like, they didn't require you to, like, show proof where you're applying to, and, you know, I could have gone down that path easily, but, you know, you recognize it, and, like, I'm already, like, at that time, I was like, I'm already a pile of crap enough, I don't need to, like, add this, like, to my ever-growing pile of crapness, you know, like, I don't need to gain momentum in the wrong direction, you know. What I need to do is put myself in an uncomfortable situation where I actually have to, like, not have mommy and daddy kind of save me from anything. So I moved from Port Hardy, which is 4.5 hours away from here, to Nanaimo. I knew someone that was moving down here at the same time, so we both got a place together and tried to make that work, which it did for a little while. Finally found a job, and I'm working surveillance, and which is again sedentary, but you know, pays really well, so it's hard to leave.
Right.
And I've been doing that kind of ever since. You know, but the first year of surveillance, of course, I've gained 60 pounds. Very challenging. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it kind of like was a step forward, 2 steps forward, 1 step back in a lot of ways. Like, at least I'm off the teat of mommy and daddy, but I'm, you know, kind of...
Now you're 60 pounds heavier.
Yeah, 60 pounds heavier, and like... But at least I'm doing it on my own, you know, which gives you a little bit of confidence, you know.
Just to take the next step,
Just to take the next step. And, of course, like we were saying before, it doesn't happen, you know, overnight. It's not an overnight thing. 10 years from that point is now.
Wow.
And... like now I've like lost close to 40 pounds, and I'm getting my shit back together, and you know, it feels like it's finally taking off. Yeah. That's why it becomes like so seductive, right? Like you were saying, like you
want that speed. Yeah.
Like, let's go because it's finally working, you know, but you can't. You gotta like,
you just need to be very clear with what you're willing to do, what the reward is at the end, right? Because if the reward that means the most to you is to be a certain weight, and that's it, then you know, you can diet hard and you can do all the cardio and you'll get there faster, absolutely. But if your goal is to forever be this person, that changes shit at such a deep level where you almost need to protect that fire that you feel inside. You need to protect it so that it never blows so hard that it and burns out. Right.
Well, that's kind of like what you were saying before. Like, I feel inside that fire and I feel inside that passion. I want to like be a driving force in a community, and what that community looks like, I don't know yet, but I know that I've got like this leadership quality in me, and I want to lead, and I want to be, you know, remembered. And that's what's important to me. So like, I am not taking any chances. I've got goals, and if you don't like them, you got to get out of the way because I'm going through you know what I mean? How
does that, so with you and Nicole, like how long ago did you meet her?
But like, well, at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
First quarter of the year.
And you're in such a transitional period.
Yeah.
Like, that's gonna be hard for her. You know, because I mean, you're a very nice man, but you're going through a very transitional period, and so in the best way possible. But when you say, "Okay, I kind of know where I'm going, and I'm ready,"
Yeah.
Sometimes that means that the people around us may feel that we care more about that than anything else around us, right?
Yeah.
How do you navigate that?
I really have to check and balance myself, right? I mean, fortunately and unfortunately, Nicole works a shift of which she works out of town an hour and a half. So she's got to drive an hour and a half before she even gets to work. And then an hour and a half back. So she's not even here until 6 o'clock, right? And then she has until about 9:30, and then she has to go to bed because she's got to wake up in the morning.
Right.
So we've got like that 3.5 hours.
Right.
So that is fortunate for my transitional period.
Right.
Unfortunate for our relationship, if that makes any sense, because it's hard to spend quality time when we still have to get groceries. We got to do this. We got to do that. We got to prepare meals. So it's challenging. But on the other hand, there are, like you said, not every day I'm crushing it. You know.
Right.
And when I have to like fall back and like, you know, catch my breath, she's always there. And I think that's what makes her stand out above any other person that I've had in my consistent life, right? Whereas she gives me not more support than my parents ever did. I'm not saying that, but she gives me the support that I need.
Right.
And that is invaluable.
That's invaluable.
Yeah, you need someone in your corner. Yeah. If that's one thing I'll say, like I'm trying to get people from my work to come to the gym. I'm like, 2-week free trial, go ahead, do it. But like, because I want to build a community.
Right.
Like I've been like since I was 7 years old. I've been like trying to like start clubs and like start things. Like I want community. Community is like the most important thing. Yeah. Togetherness is like what humanity is all based on. And like now I have someone who's like supportive of that, and that is like a real game changer. It's scary, to be honest with you, because
it is so good.
It's so good. It's like, what the fuck is happening here?
Yes. Should I get used to this? Like, it's so good. Yeah.
You know, and then like sometimes we talk about it, it's like, this is so good. Like, what's happening? Or like, you know, like, and she gives me freedom to do what I want, which, like, last night I went to a movie by myself.
I know, man. When I saw your post, I was like, damn it, man. I need to be awake in 4 hours. Otherwise, I would have been all over it.
But, like, even then, I'm still getting after it. Like, I brought a pad of paper and a pen with me, and I was, like, making notes while I was watching the movie. Like,
what?
I don't, like, I'm still not resting. I'm still, I'm still getting something from everything. Yeah. Everything is an opportunity.
Yeah.
Everything is an opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm trying not to squander even my downtime.
Yeah. That's like my loading time during the game. I'm like, well, notepad, take notes.
One of your trainers said to me, like, active rest days. And, like, when she said that, I was like, there's active rest days? And then all of a sudden I started applying that to everything. I'm like, okay, well, I'm resting right now. I'm playing a video game or whatever, so I'm just going to take some notes. Oh, yeah, I noticed you need to do this. Oh, I'm watching the movie. I'm going to take some notes on
that. That is the name of the game. I have a lot of friends that are business owners.
Yeah.
And one question, like the main question that they seem to ask is, how can you constantly be doing so much? It seems like wherever we look, there's Miguel. Like, you go on Facebook, there's Miguel. You go over here, there's Miguel. You go, like, how? Why? Like, when do you ever do anything else? And for me, I feel that I waste so much of my time.
I know, me too.
And I'm like, this is nothing. Like, if I really buckle down, I'd leave my current self in the dust.
Yeah, that's why I always say, I'm like, I'm at a 3. Like, wait till I turn to 11. Like, you don't want to see that. Like, it's gonna get crazy. Like, and I have to really like stop myself from doing that because like other people will look at me like, what the fuck is he doing?
And it's funny because at some point it just tips that balance, and you're just like, I don't even give a shit anymore. Like, I don't care if somebody gets tired of seeing my face. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, it's on them to unfollow.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
I'm the same way. Yeah, and because like, well, another thing it does for you, like, especially because you put a lot of videos and stuff like that out, so you are sleeping, and they're watching your video.
Yeah.
So it's like you're always there.
Yeah.
But you're not.
I'm not.
You set up the groundwork.
That's right. I may be on my 5th hour of gaming.
Yeah.
or I may be napping at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
And sleeping till 11, waking up, having a glass of water, go pee, and go back to sleep.
Yeah.
But it feels like I'm always there. Why? Because I'm like you, where if I am driving, I'm listening to a podcast. If I am washing dishes, I'm watching a podcast or a video on new training discoveries, or listening to research on nutrition, which is something that I'm super passionate about. I'm like, I can do 10 things at a time. Mm-hmm. And then I can spend my 2 or 3 hours with my family, and then I can do whatever I want until like 1 p.m. maybe, where I have to go to bed because I need to be up super early. So it just seems like...
But even then, when you get that momentum, you don't even feel like you want to. I'm like, like I said before, I could play a video game, but I got stuff to do. Like, I got to get after this.
It's addictive.
Mm-hmm. It is. Well, it's like I said, like, every time you take a bite of that little bit of greatness, you want more.
Yeah.
Because you know it's there. Like, you've spent all this time not being able to access it. When you finally are able to touch it, oh man.
And you know what is something that is that when you, like, obviously you're starting to experience that now, but I could see this in the next 6 months to a year of your life. You're going to start experiencing more and more of this, which is how your journey inspires others.
Right.
And how literally with your life, you are, like, the decisions that you are making every single day are impacting other people outside of your main circle of influence.
Yeah.
And then you'll feel that responsibility.
Yeah.
And then you'll want more of, like, you'll want to take bigger bites of that greatness, because you realize that the more you learn, the better you become, the more you can help everybody else around you.
It's funny how it always comes back to how much you can help others.
Yeah.
Because that really is, like, when I talk about community, I am only interested in that aspect because of how much I feel I have to give.
Yeah.
It's not because I want to take from I want to, like, have a support group.
Yeah.
That's not what it is at all. I've got a lot of fire in me to give, and, like, I want people to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and now this is something that has been difficult for me. It was difficult for me at the beginning. Now it's not at all. Yeah. But I struggle with the feeling of, okay, well, if I am going into business and it costs money for people to come, to which degree, how much of me is there to give if I am the one that is this close to burning out and throwing the towel every single day? And will I be at my best there? And it took a few times of coming very close to a full burnout to learn that lesson and then say, okay, wait, this is not going to work long term. Mm-hmm. If I really want to share this fire, I need to protect it.
Yeah.
And how I protect it? By building a business. By in my case, right? By leveraging others, by creating a team so that I can have this fire fully burning, and so that I can actually reach more people. And that one group that I have that is separate for non-members, that it doesn't matter if you're a member, you can be in there. There's over 700 people in there.
Yeah.
I don't know 90% of them. I have never met them.
Yeah.
And for example, this is very tangible. This week I asked there, hey, anybody having a hard time? Who wants some help? Yeah. Right now, and I'll be able to jump on a live call with you, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And I ended up meeting a very nice woman, and we talked for like half an hour, and in that half an hour, I have a feeling, something tells me that it's the beginning of a major transformation for her. Mm-hmm. And I would not have been able to do that had I not built a team to support my business.
Right.
And that brings many other decisions. So I need to, for example, if I chose to make my service 25% of the cost that it is right now, maybe it would feel like I am being the nicest person, but that would not allow me to hire my team. I would be the one doing this, which means that fire would only be able to warm this many people around me.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a...
Where now you have a bunch of different fires able to warm a bunch of different people. Yeah.
Now, my fire is...
not the only one out there.
And it's the highest that it's ever been. It's the strongest that it's ever been, so I can warm up, keep many more people warm than ever before. But the decisions that it took along the way were decisions that maybe didn't quite feel... they felt more business-like than nice Miguel-like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And it really took for me to get out of my own way, out of my own head, and start judging myself for those decisions and to truly just get comfortable with it. I remember at some point making a post on my Facebook and saying something like, you can't change the world if you're broke. And I remember some friends not liking that at all and being like, this is bullshit. You can absolutely, change, like make someone's day and you don't need a single cent. And I'm like, yeah. But, and I didn't debate this because I was like, I don't need your, like this is for me. And I'm like, I am not okay with helping one person. I feel that I need to help 1 million people. Yeah. And I won't be able to do that on my own. I'll need people around me.
Yeah.
So I need to think long term. So it goes so deep, so many layers down, right?
Now I've heard you use the word tribe quite a bit.
Yeah.
What do you feel about tribes? Like, because there's a bunch of literature on the idea of modern tribes.
Yeah. And that's not something that I am very well versed on, but I can tell you that this is where I feel some of my darkness comes out.
Yeah.
And I, not that I want to exclude people from my tribe, because at the end of the day, I don't choose you, you choose me. Mm-hmm. And then if you like me and what I stand for, you join, and now we're stronger. But I didn't go out there and be like, okay, I'll take you.
You're not a recruiter,
right?
Yeah.
But once we're in, I'm like, it's us versus the world, baby, and I am very unapologetic about that. And anything that, at least in my eyes, is a threat to that, I'll run it over, and I don't care. Like there's no remorse in that, which I realize what it sounds like, and I'm okay with it.
Well, I think that part of like, and that is when I was speaking to you at first, and then when I spoke to you the second time, that is the part that resonated the most. It's funny how your darkness, or as you say,
really
resonated the most with me, was because like I was in the same headspace. I was like, get in my way, I dare you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I said something along that line.
Yeah, this is gonna happen one way or another.
Yeah, if you want to be a part of it, you get on board as well. Like I'm gonna get on board with you, but you gotta get on board with me. But like I feel like that attracts the right type, as long as you're honest with that darkness, or even with the stuff that's a little lighter.
Yeah.
That, if you're honest, you're going to attract the right people. I could be a people pleaser and say, like, I'm down for everything.
That's right.
But I'm not, and you won't fit in my tribe. And you're going to find it out real quickly. And then
not only that, a rotten tomato will mess up the whole batch.
Yeah, so then you're going to find this person who's displeased in your tribe. All of a sudden, they're taking other people well with them.
Yeah.
And it's not going to suck because you're losing revenue. It's going to suck because you could have helped those people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly it. And so I realized that there is... I've heard a little bit of the fact that, tribes can definitely degenerate into something that is negative, and it's not for the betterment of every single one of the members of that tribe, right? Yeah. So I'm very aware of that, but I think that the only way that I can prevent that from happening is by being very honest, being very open with everybody, so that they get to know me, who I am for reals, not a persona, but so that you get exactly what you see.
Yeah.
And if I don't agree with something, I'll tell you. I can be polite and firm at the same time. I don't have to, and it's taking me a little bit of time to find that sort of confidence to stand on, like, by my own beliefs, right? And be like, this is who I am, and if you like, I can, you can be part of this, and we're just getting started. That's the other thing, just like you said, I also feel that I'm in the infancy of this.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I'm 37. Imagine by the time I'm 47, like, I wonder what I'll have learned by then.
Yeah, I know. It's exciting, right?
It is exciting.
Let me ask you this. So because you're working on a bunch of different, like, training sort of aspirations, like you're working on a bunch of different courses.
Yeah.
Are you, like, very excited about the possibility of having multiple different driven tribes?
Oh, yeah.
Because, I see that strongly in the future, like having a driven tribe, like, in Victoria.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I mean?
So this is last year I wrote down what my life's mission statement was, and I have it. But basically, in it said that I wanted to impact the life of 100,000 people, and that sort of led me down this path of realizing, whoa, I'm not going to be able to do that on my own. Mm-hmm. I will not be able to have 100,000 clients at Driven. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, so how do I serve 100,000 people?
Yeah.
And that just led me to, okay, well, what if we opened other locations, and what if we did this, and what if we did that? Like, just looking
you started backwards engineering
different models.
Yeah.
And now that for example, that group that were over 700 people now, mm-hmm. We were less than 100 last year.
Right.
Like I just started it, so I start to see how that can quickly grow. So I'm like, I don't care what the delivery method is. Mm-hmm. I just want to impact as many people as possible, and when it comes to mapping out my vision, I'm like, yep, whatever will get me there. Mm-hmm. Whatever will get 100,000 people to feel the way that I feel. Mm-hmm. So I am absolutely open to any idea that facilitates the achievement of that goal.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest, lately I've been feeling like 100,000 is going to be a little bit short.
Yeah.
In my mind, the number is 1 million now, even though this is the very first time that I say it out loud. Because I'm like, if we've been able to build this up till now, like, and something that I haven't done up till now, really up till very recently, it's leveraging others.
Right.
The clearer I've gotten about my passion and my goal, the more I seem to be attracting even people like you. Yeah. That seem to be very much aligned with that. And
well, I think that the average person doesn't really think along that line. Mm. Like the average person, at least in my life, is not what I would call driven. Mm. Like, not to say that they couldn't be or that they won't ever be, but let's just say that, like, currently they're not. Mm-hmm. And when I saw, like, someone who is like, and I hate using the word because it's like referencing your company. I'm not trying to reference your company. I'm trying to actually reference the actual meaning of the word. When I saw someone that was driven, I was like, yep.
Nice.
And like, that's the seductive part. I was like, yeah, we're doing this. Get the hell out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, it doesn't really matter what it's going to take. It's going to get there. And that's actually been like one of the most difficult things about this journey is blindly trusting in the law of Miguel. Like, I'm like, because when you said like increase your calories from 2,000 to 2,500, I'm like, okay.
And that was such like, for me, that made 100% sense. But
for me, I'm like, okay, it's time for a blind trust fall, because like I feel like that's not what I should be doing.
Yeah.
Because and then my mind played further tricks on me, because my last weigh-in I went up 0.2 pounds, and I'm like, fuck, okay, I got to give this a couple more weeks.
Yeah. And
then reevaluate. So now it's a time game where I'm like, okay, make sure you're tracking everything. everything. I'm weighing, I'm tracking, I'm measuring. Like, there's nothing that getting away from me. Oh man, and that is like, it's scary to be honest with you, because I've come this far and I want to see more success.
Yeah, not less.
Not less. So like in the next few weeks, I gotta like be like, okay, is this has got to like either I'm trying to figure it out, right? So so what I found is like that people are kind of like attracted to that. It's like they're like to a flame. When you see someone who's driven without apology, without any sort of nothing else is. It's like your blinders are on, right? You're so focused. Like, how do you get to that point every day? So, because it seems like you wake up and it's on, but I know that probably isn't the case. So do you have like tools? Like, do you do coffee, or like do push-ups, or like do you sing a mantra, or like what is it that gets you going?
So one of the things that has been truly transformative for me has been just exercising gratitude in the morning. So first thing in the morning, I have a notes app on my phone, and before I go on Facebook, before I do anything, I write down, it's a few things actually. So I write down my 3 goals that I want to see achieved in the next 6 months. And those are always consistent. So they're always 3, right? So like now just automatically I just go like boom, 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 like it's the same. And I keep it super short.
And you write them down no matter if you wrote them down yesterday or always.
That's
always
right.
Down.
6 months from now, I'll think of 3 others maybe, or as I get close and I start to achieve some of those, I'll move on to something else. Yeah. But they're at the very top of my list. Mm-hmm. And then I write down 3 things that I am thankful for that morning. And that they just need to be different than they were yesterday. That's it. Mm-hmm. And I think that has a big impact in my feeling for life. Yeah. It's incredible how often the things that you're thankful for are the simplest things. Yeah. Like having a bed to sleep in, right? Like just the simplest things. So it makes it very easy to look at your life and be like, wow, I am so blessed. I need to go out there and execute. Yeah. I have no excuse.
No excuses.
I have a place to live. I have food to eat. I have warm water to shower with. Like it's.
Yeah. You just came up with right there.
And then I write, okay, so what is the number one thing that you will absolutely do today? Mm-hmm. One that will move that needle forward. Yeah. Whatever it is. And then I do that again at night. So at night, I'm like, okay, so what went well? Yeah. What could have gone better? Lessons learned. 3 things that I'm thankful for. And those 3 things need to be different than my things in the morning. Okay. And maybe just the very specific can be different. But for example, in the morning, I could be thankful for the fact that maybe my son is with us. Right? And so maybe in the evening is that I had a very touching moment with Katie or with Max. And so technically it's family still, but I just the first things that come to my heart, that's what I write.
I find that because I challenged you to keep a gratitude journal for a while. And you're like, I'm already doing it, man. Yeah. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. And I found that the people who do it, and then fall off of doing it, which is fine. They always have the same sort of thing, which is like, this isn't worthy of writing it down. And I'm like, no, if you're grateful for it, you write that. If you are grateful that you can hear the birds singing outside your window, write that down. Yeah, because it's gonna be the little things that matter. Yeah, these little details that you're gonna look back on, or maybe your son will look at, or like, hey, you want to know what the 3 things I was grateful for today? Like, flip to it and be like, this is what I was grateful for. Like, it's going to put things into perspective for someone, or like, it's going to make you more thoughtful. It doesn't matter that it's just birds chirping. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It can be as small as that or as big as whatever. Yeah. It's just getting the first 3 things down. And I think that that's what people kind of like end up struggling with, because people who are not used to the success of the little things aren't able to identify it as easily.
Yeah, a lot of people struggle to find the good in things, and that can be partly because they're just used to it. Maybe they weren't taught how to be in control of your perspective, and that's fine. But even if that's where you find yourself now, all you need to do is just do some research and go read 2 books, and that'll light that'll be the spark.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh shit, you are right. I am in control of my thoughts. I don't know if you saw a video that I posted recently, but one of our members was feeling very disappointed in herself because she had 2 really shitty days of food. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Does that mean that over the last 7 days you had 5 really good days and 2 really shitty days? She's like, yeah. I'm like, so you had twice as many good days as you had bad days? Well, I guess. Fuck, you're winning. Like, you're ahead. You're ahead of the game.
Also, like I said before, like, little as the birds chirping, I mean, you recognize those bad days. Before, it was 7 days of bad days.
Exactly. Could have been 2 months.
Could have been 2 months.
But that's something that you train, that you learn. That's a skill that you learn. With practice, it gets better and better, and gets easier and easier, and it becomes more automatic.
Yeah, I think it's something that people who have like longevity practice. Like I've certainly found that in myself that I didn't have before. Like, I am definitely more thankful about little things, and I recognize the little successes a lot more. Yeah. Like, because it's like, back to my favorite quote, once you understand the way broadly you see it in all things, well, you could be grateful for the bird chirping. You could be grateful for only gaining 0.2 pounds. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's the same thing. Yeah. It's the same thing.
Yeah. But and it goes back to, so that is one option, and then the other option is to just be like, well, I can't be thankful because look at all of this. Look at how bad my life is. Look at how that person treated me. Look at, and okay, fine. As long as you want to pass on that responsibility to other people and point fingers, you will always find yourself in that spot. The moment you stand up and you grab that ownership, and instead of passing it on, you bring it right here, and you're like, okay, this is mine.
Yeah.
For better or worse, it is mine. Now you're in control.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. I mean, I see that as a largest contributor of people who are not successful, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, when you mess up that one day and you're like, oh, the day sucked, and like, then it's just going to momentum from there, but they don't recognize the 6 days before. That was great.
And, maybe that's where the leadership component comes in, and maybe, and I don't know, maybe I should be thankful for the fact that some people struggle with that, because then maybe that will bring them to search for a tribe.
Yeah.
In which they'll learn those skills, and they'll be surrounded by people that choose to believe in themselves every day, despite.
Also, it's a good problem to have, because like, it's a fixable problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those are the best kind of problems.
Yeah.
Totally. I can't fix my face, but I can fix my weight.
Yeah. So, question: what do you think about there's a lot of big movements right now, right? And one of them, as it pertains to fitness and health and all of this, is the acceptance of our bodies.
Yeah.
And it's almost gotten to a point where if you do not accept your body, it's almost like you could even feel guilty about not being okay with your body. How do you feel about your journey? Like, you're very much in it. Yeah. So what do you think about this?
Like the body positivity.
Yeah. Movement. So for you, like, how come it wasn't? How come you didn't just decide, no, I'm just going to be okay with my body, and I'm going to...
Well, and maybe this is not going to sit well with people, but I feel, personal feeling, is that if you're okay with being morbidly obese, then that's an excuse, and you're lying to yourself. That's as simple as it gets. It's not okay. You are causing other people a lot of grief and a lot of pain, not to mention all the pain that you're causing yourself. you're shortening your lifespan, and it's not fair that people are going to have to spend a lot less time with you because of your health and because of the way that you choose to live. Like, especially if you have a son or daughter, it's not okay. It's not okay. You're choosing to live an unhealthy lifestyle. Now, if you're not,
who do you think is to blame? Because look, okay, and blame is a word that everybody runs away from. But at the end of the day, somebody's responsible for something.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, unless you're of like no control over what kind of food you're putting in your body, it's on you. You raise the fork to your mouth, like, it's on you. And that is something that I had to, like, I was 368 pounds, closing in on 400. Like, I put every piece of food in my mouth. No one held a gun to my head.
Right.
It was about me. Like, I have access to the internet. I got a phone. I could have easily just learned, like, what do I eat?
Right.
I could have figured it out. There's calculators that will tell you, like, you need to eat this many calories. Yeah. MyFitnessPal is a free app.
Yeah.
And that is how I lost.
So I guess maybe I don't know. I almost wish maybe our first, second, or third, or 20th guest can be a proponent of this movement as the way out. But so that we're better educated on this. But so what about? I guess maybe it is more about the idea of being happy with your body.
Yeah, I mean, that's different than blame, right? Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't be happy with your body.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that it's not okay because you're going to kill yourself. I mean, suicide is illegal in most areas. But I'm not okay with, for example, if my mother was overweight and she was eating herself into a quicker grave, I would not be okay with that. Like, you're taking the opportunity for my son to have a grandmother away. You're taking my mother away.
Yeah.
Mom,
Yeah.
Like, I would not be okay with that. And there's and that's when you need a tribe, you need a leader, because they obviously don't know how to deal with things. Like, there's something in their life that is causing them to not understand the relationship with food, or not. And there's lots of, like, different reasons that happens. And I'm not saying that, like, you're the cause of all of it. And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, like, it's up to you to fix it. You may not be the cause of it, but it's up to you to fix it.
Yeah.
And like, you got to take ownership of it.
Yeah, it's a very interesting discussion, because there's so many different layers to it. And I guess at the end of the day, like, are you a happier person today than you were a year ago?
Mm-hmm.
Are you?
Yeah, absolutely. I strongly believe that if we gave every morbidly obese person an athletic body to run around in for a week, that they would, and then they got transported back to their own body, that they would work their asses off.
Good point.
They would work their asses off to get there. And no one can do it. No one can do it. You can't calorie my weight off. You can't exercise my weight off.
Yeah.
You got to do it. And that's the ownership part.
So it's what you're saying is that maybe you just don't know what you're missing out on. You just don't know what it feels like.
Like I said, it doesn't take overnight. You don't get there overnight, right?
Yeah.
You don't put that weight on, like, in a day. So you might not even, like, you may have spent your entire adult life overweight.
Right.
So you have no idea what a runner's high feels like. You have no idea what it's like to be able to, like, do 50 push-ups.
Yeah.
You don't know. But it feels great. It feels great not to feel tired all day long. And you may not even realize that you're tired all day. But I tell you right now, when I lost 40 pounds, man, I go longer, I go harder at everything. It doesn't matter if it's like work. It doesn't matter if I'm reading. It doesn't matter if I'm exercising. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. No. I can do it longer with more focus, and it's just better.
Yeah,
just better.
I think that it, just like everything, fitness and nutrition and all of this can definitely become this monster that just permeates every area of your life and for the detriment of the enjoyment of your life. Sure. Absolutely. I think that just continues to feed that sense of responsibility in me to educate people, right? And to make sure that you know this, that I am very open about it with everyone. And the first thing that comes out of my mouth is, don't think that just because you're gonna don't think that losing weight will just make you a happier person.
No.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
Far outside of the gym, far outside of my fitness pal.
Yeah, just because you're losing the weight doesn't mean you're getting your headspace in the right spot.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. So that's why it's so important to engage in your tribe. That's why I was talking about your community. That's why the community is so important, because without that community, you're going to see a lot more failure through your gym.
Yeah.
Because these people need to be engaged in a healthy frame of mind.
Right.
It's not going to come off and stay off if you're still feeling negative.
Yeah.
I could easily put on all that weight in a month. Easily.
Yeah.
I mean,
with our love for food.
With our love for food, yeah, absolutely. You think a couple taco buffets and I'm in.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that I was, I don't know, a few months ago, somebody was like, well, you've lost your weight, so you have nothing to worry about. I'm like, are you kidding me? If I just went back to living the life that I lived then, sooner or later, it would only be a matter of time. Yeah. And I'd be...
And, I mean, it sounds cliche because, everyone says it, but it's not weight loss, it's a lifestyle change. Yeah. That's why, whatever, you go up 0.2 pounds. I joined your gym on a weight loss grant, so it's a little bit different.
Right.
So I needed to see those numbers coming off.
Yeah.
But now I go up 0.2 pounds, and it's a little discouraging at first, but then you realize, you know what, I feel okay with it because I did right that week, and this is going to be an ongoing thing. It's not going to be something that's okay, I won fitness, we're over.
Yeah.
A year's up. It's not about that. It's about getting to that spot and then maintaining.
Yeah.
I
had a lot of questions for you too, and now I don't know how long we've gone, but
how long have we gone? Is there a way to tell?
It is. Let's see, 2 hours.
2 hours.
Holy smokes! I guess we can talk.
We can talk.
That's a good thing.
I didn't even get through all my questions.
Wow, I just had 3 that I thought that were going to bring us into a lot of time into conversation, but that's awesome, man.
It worked out easier than you thought.
Yeah, a lot easier.
So let's just wrap up a little bit. What do you think about the podcast? What do you think about what you'd like to get out of it? Give me some thoughts on the podcast.
You know what? As we were talking, I imagined people watching, and I was like, I think they would get a lot out of this. I think that they would enjoy it, hopefully be entertained, but more than anything, gain a bit more insight into how we think, what the lessons we've learned, the ups and downs, and hopefully at the end of the day just realize that there is nothing particularly special about me or you. Nothing. We are made of exactly the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
And whatever is in me is also in you and in them. And if no matter where you're at, no matter how low of a point you may be at in life, you can look and you can see, and well, those guys are not particularly talented at anything. I'm like,
other than flapping our jaws for 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. They can talk, but all right. So just maybe, because that's all you need. You just need to believe that there's hope. That's it.
Yeah.
And that will build if you decide to act on it.
Yeah.
It would build and build and build and build. And then you build so much momentum then that you're like, this will never end.
Yeah, precisely.
Now I'm on a roll.
And what I kind of wanted to get out of the podcast, out of specifically the first one, is to share what kind of purpose drives, well, at least me. And, the questions I asked were kind of driven towards that as well. So that people understood, what this might be like. Because I'm not, specifically, we're talking a lot about community and stuff like that. Well, I wanted to make it quite clear that, this is going to be something that I want to do this to like engage with people.
Yeah.
And like, that's why I said so much about community this time, because I just feel as though we don't, like I said, then I was kind of an underdog, and we don't have a lot of avenues for healthy community here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I hope people find value in it.
One of the things that I was fantasizing about was, why could we not make Nanaimo the healthiest city in Canada?
Yeah. There's no reason we couldn't.
Why couldn't we?
That's one thing that's so attractive now about it. Like that, like I just think about it all the time. Like I'm going on the treadmill, and I'm just giving her. I'm like, Nanaimo is like the battleground. Like we could really turn this around. You know, not like you and I, but people in general could really turn this thing around. Yeah. And maybe you and I have a part to play in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
And that just I'm happy to play a role in that, because that is in line with my life goal. So
yeah,
and it's like everything. It'll resonate with the right people, and maybe for some it won't resonate now, and it will in a year's time.
Yeah, and like we were talking about before, like not every podcast is going to be like this, and not every podcast is going to be for everyone.
Yeah,
like who knows? Like, and then, like we were talking about before, like we could have a guy who makes beer in here, and we might be trying beers out or whatever. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily always have to be this, but this is a good first podcast because we're sharing our purpose. You know? And like the reason kind of why we're doing it in a roundabout way. You know? And I think that like I hope that it resonates with. You know
what would be really cool? If anything, maybe we can have our question of the day, and that question could be for people to share. Anybody that's watching this to share, maybe names, tag someone in a comment that you believe is a person worth knowing.
Yeah.
You don't need to be any one thing. If you're a person that is interesting and that has something of value to speak about or to share,
absolutely,
that's it. That's we want to bring people here, and we want to get to know them and give them a space to share that,
a forum to in which to talk.
Yeah.
I mean, the possibility is endless.
Yeah.
You know.
Awesome.
Cool, man.
Dude.